For what we're doing today, I want you to think back to what we've already done in Spanish 1, present tense, baby stuff. Okay. If you think back to your present tense endings for AR verbs and for ER and IR verbs, what is in common between anything and everything to do with present tense conjugations? Okay. The exact same. It's important to remember for this chapter because we're going to need to use the present tense yo form for what we're doing. Although we're not conjugating this chapter, I'll tell you about it in just a second. I need you to understand that these are exactly the same. So when the rule tells you to drop an O, then it should make sense that you're dropping the conjugation part of the verb, and then you're adding something else to it. Okay, so that's all I want you to know for now. Okay. But for all AR, ER, and IR verbs in the present tense, for all regular verbs, not the irregulars, all the O's are the same. The nosotros form is always the same and usually regular because it's a boot or shoe. And then the O form, again, is what I want you to focus on for now. That always ends in an O. Okay. So for your little half sheet that you have present tense verbs, we're going through these very, very quickly. So you should already have them. But all present tense review. The verb pensar is an E to IE verb. Makes an E to IE change inside the boot shape. Okay. But again, the yo form is still ending with an O. But there's an extra change you need to remember for that one. Okay. We did all these boxes as a review, but what we're going to use for this chapter as reference, we're only going to be using the yo form of these boxes. Okay. For hervir, it's a new verb from your vocab, to boil. It is an E to IE change. It's not on our stem changing chart, but it is, make sure on your vocab we added the IE next to it. Make sure you know it's an E to IE boat, just like inside. No big deal there. Okay. Again, the nosotros form is always exactly the same. Nothing changes there. Okay. All right, buscar. In the preterite, it makes a change, but does it make a change in the present tense? Negative. Okay. So, we're going to come back to, though, for different things that change in the yo form in both present and preterite, mostly present tense, but you'll see in just a second what I'm talking about. Okay. Empezar, to begin or start, one of your to begin or starts. Salud. It is your stem changing. Salud. E to IE inside the boot. In the preterite tense, it would not make an E to IE change, but it would make a ZAB change. Everybody follow me? Remember, different rules for present tense and preterite. Present tense, E to IE boot. Preterite tense, you would drop the ZAR and replace it with CE with an accent for preterite. Preterite has your accents. But it would not make the E to IE change in the preterite past tense. Okay? Then, volver is to return or come back. Not to be confused with devolver, which is to give back, like you borrowed something, you're giving it back, and not to be confused with your verb from this chapter, revolver, which is to start. Okay. So volver, ODUE change. Okay. However, all of these that look the same all have a UE change in the present tense. Pedir, to ask for or order, one of our restaurant terms, but we can use it with this cooking chapter as well. What changes?
E to I.
E to I, good. So E to I inside the boot. Inside the boot shape, you change E to I. In the preterite, if we were to do that verb, it would be a basement because it's an IR verb. But we're not worrying about preterite, just refreshing your memory. Agregar, new from your vocab, to add. We've had which other to add before? Añadir. Okay, so añadir we've had since Spanish 1. Agregar is just a more cooking related to add stuff to something. Okay. If we did in the preterite, it would be a gotta change, but we're not. We're doing present tense, so just regular conjugation, no changes. Similarly with agregar, apagar would do the same thing. It would be a gotta change in the preterite, but in the present tense, it would just be regular conjugation. I asked you to add to your vocab. Let me skip through this one for just a second. Encender, E-N-C-E-N-D-E-R. It is an E to IE change. And remember, which E do we change if we have more than one?
The one closest to the
Closest to the your IR. So not the ER, obviously, that you're going to drop off for conjugation. But this E right here would change from E to IE for you to conjugate it in the present tense. Okay? So, agregar, apagar, and I wanted you to have the opposite. I don't know why your book gives you apagar to turn off, but not to turn on. Like you may need to turn something on before you turn it off. So, and leer, regular conjugation in the present tense, but in the preter it would be an I to Y. Just refreshing your memory on those. Okay? We're okay with those so far? Any questions? Which one? Empezar. Where do we have empezar? Oh, right here. Yes. It's an E to I change inside the boot.
Are we gonna do anything on the food?
We are. I'm going to tell you guys about the project at the end of the period today. You're going to read about it, and then I'll give you some examples this week.
Yeah, I love the project.
Don't be too excited.
Oh my gosh, I'm so tired.
But our project ended up falling in line with Cinco de Mayo, so we may have something. So we shall see. We'll see. All right. Next side. Tener. You have a go change for the yo form, and it's an E to IE shoe. It's a true shoe verb because it doesn't make an E to IE change in the yo form. Okay, so instead of going all the way up to the boot, just the shoe shape makes an E to IE change, and it's a go change. Okay, for the purposes of this chapter, you're not going to care that it's an E to IE change because you're only going to look at the yo form. Just coming up, a few minutes. I said just the go change, nothing else. Okay. To do or to make. If we did it in the preterite, completely irregular, totally different rules for verbs. Okay, salir, just the go change. Make sure that for salir you have S-A-L and then G-O. A lot of people leave out that L. Decir, what happens with decir?
Oh my gosh.
Just E to I, and it is technically a boot, but I call it a shoe just to remind you that you have something extra to remember about the yo form that is also a go change. So it's an E to I and a go change for the verb decir. So far, so good? Okay. Next side. Seguir, to follow, is an E to I change and a go change. Okay. So just like decir and seguir, it's an E to I inside the boot shape technically, but I still call it a shoe to help you remind you that you have to go change. Something extra about the yo form you need to remember, which is what we're focusing on this chapter. Have to know all the yo forms. All right, poner, put or place. What changes about it?
It's a go verb.
Pongo, just a go verb. Good. What about venir? What changes about it?
It's also go.
Okay,
Yeah.
also go,
And it changes to from E to IE.
and it's a true shoe because it doesn't change in the yo form from E to IE. It's just vengo for the yo form. And then inside the shoe shape, you would do your E to IE. And introducir is just like conocer that we did not too long ago. Right, it's a ZCO just for the yo form. So introduzco for the yo form, the rest are regular conjugations. And again, we're only talking about these in the present tense for now, because we're about to learn, we're gonna need to link back to the present tense yo form of these verbs.
You like the decir when you choose.
The seed is the DI change and then the go change also. Are we okay with both sides of the little half sheet refresher verbs? Good.
Oh my gosh.